Hey there, it's Darby at Calm Math, and this is the second part of the grade 5 FSA practice test. I will link to the first part of this practice test in the description below. No calculator is permitted for this particular practice test, and I will also have a link to this if you want to practice on your own or do any of the other practice tests in this series. Hopefully it will help you feel more confident and have less math anxiety. And if you're a teacher or teacher in training or a parent, follow along because your kids and students feed off of your own math anxiety and I can help with that. All right. So an expression is shown. An expression is just a math sentence that doesn't have an equal, it's not equal to anything. No equal sign. So which statement describes this expression? So we have 36 and then there is a divided sign. So 36 divided by, so that's either going to be A or C. It's not B or D. 36 divided by, and then 4 plus 2. So if we're looking at these answer choices, it's either going to be divided by the sum of 4 and 2 or divided by 4 and added to 2. So if it was this first choice, it would be 36 divided by 4 and then plus 2. Or you wouldn't even really need parentheses for that. It could just be that 36 divided by 4 plus 2. But answer choice C is definitely the correct answer. 36 divided by the sum of 4 and 2. So 4 and 2 is grouped together in parentheses, and 36 is divided by that. Okay, David multiplies and divides original numbers by powers of 10 to create new numbers. Fill in the bubbles to select the original numbers in the chart that were multiplied by 10 to the third to create new numbers. So what is 10 to the third? Exponents. What? So that exponent 3 just means you're doing 10 times 10 times 10, 3 times. That's it. Easy peasy. Okay. So, and the fun thing with 10 is you just count the zeros. So 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000. And 1,000 has how many zeros? 1, 2, 3. Pretty cool, right? Okay. So multiplying the original number by 1,000, moving it 3 decimal spaces larger, adding 3 zeros. That's how we're going to approach this. So 523, if I add 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3, does that equal the number on the right? Yes, it does. Oops. I'm bad at coloring in my bubbles. Okay. So here we have a decimal, and I'm going to move the decimal 3 spaces to the right. Does that equal 5? Yes. So 100, if I add 3 zeros, does that equal the number, the new number? No. What about 600? If I add 3 zeros, does that equal 60,000? No, it equals 600,000. Okay, so here I'm going to move my decimal point 3 spaces. I have to add a 0 as a placeholder. So 4,560, yes. And again, move the decimal point 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. Add 2 zeros as placeholders. 37,900. No. That was it. That was all there that you had to do for this problem. How did that feel? Okay, what is the missing value in the equation? Okay, well, looking at my final number, I have like mixed numbers, fractions, and I know that the final fraction has an 8 for a denominator. So I'm going to make my denominators on the left-hand side also equal to 8 to see if it works out. So if I change the 3/12 and I want it to be an 8, I could say 3 goes into 3 one time, and 3 goes into 12 4 times. And then I can multiply this by 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. And 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so if I rewrite this, I have 2 and 2/8 plus 3 over something equals 2 and 5/8. And guess what? 2 plus 3 is 5. So this number right here has to be also 8. That wasn't so bad. Okay, for each attribute, fill in the bubbles to select the shapes that always have that attribute. So we have 4 shapes: a rectangle, rhombus, square, and parallelogram. So a rectangle. I'm gonna draw for reference. We have parallel sides, right? 2 sets of parallel sides, 4 right angles. A rhombus, all the sides are parallel and they're the same length. And a square, all the sides are parallel and the same length, and there's 4 right angles. A square can be a rhombus, but a rhombus cannot be a square. And a square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle cannot be a square. And then a parallelogram, parallel sides, all right, doesn't have to be right angle. So a square is a parallelogram. A parallelogram is not a square. All right, so 4 equal length sides. That would be a rhombus and a square. All the sides are the same length. 4 right angles would be a rectangle and a square. Exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. Always have that attribute. Exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. That wouldn't be any of them. That would be like a trapezoid where like the base and the top would be parallel. But the rest of these all have 2 pairs of parallel sides. So there we go. That one got a little squirrely. So it's good to review your shapes and their attributes. Okay, Kelly has 9 pieces of ribbon. She recorded the length of each piece in the line plot shown. What is the total length of the 3 longest pieces? So each of these X's counts for 1 ribbon. So that's like 1, 2, 3. So we're counting these 3 pieces of ribbon, okay? So this is at 15 and these 2 are at 14.5. So 14.5, 14.5, and 15. And if we add those together, 14 and 14 is 28, plus 1 is 29, plus 15 is 44. So 44 inches. Which expression could be used to find the quotient of quotient is divide 1,575 divided by 21. So we're dividing it by 21, not by 20 plus 1. So I'm going to cross off B and D because those are not going to be correct. And then the difference we have here is like you're breaking it into the thousands, the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. So A is the correct answer because we have 1,000 for the thousands place, right? 500 here. And then 70 for the tens, and then 5 for the ones. And altogether that gives us 1,575. C repeats some of the numbers. So that would give us the wrong answer. A right rectangular prism, a box. like what is a right rectangular prism? It's a box. So think of like a cereal box or a crooked box like I'm drawing. Yeah. It's a box. Okay. So a right rectangular prism has a volume of 144, and the volume is length times width times height, or area of the base times the height, either way. We know the height is 4, so we could plug in what we know. 144 is the volume equals the length times the width times the height. So if I want to know what the possible length and width are, I have to divide 144 by 4. So no calculators. I can do this. My brain is getting stronger by doing long division. Okay, 4 goes into 14 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. 14 minus 12 is 2. Bring down the 4. 24. 4 goes into 24 6 times. Okay, so length times width equals 36. And now I have to list the factors of 36. So it could be 1 and 36. It could be 2 and 18. 3 times 12. Right? 12 and 12. Yes. 4 times 9. 5, 6 times 6. So it could be any of these. So you could do 1 for length, 36 for width, or 36 for length, 1 for width. It doesn't matter as long as you have one of these factors in the length and the corresponding factor in for the width. So this has a variety of different answers as long as you have like one of these factored pairs for length and width. Okay, the location of point M on the coordinate plane is 2, 7. So here's another coordinate example, and you're like, what is that? So we have our x-axis, which goes left to right, and our y-axis, which goes up and down. And the point is always x comma y. And you can remember that because it's in alphabetical order. So let's say this is 2 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not drawn to scale. 7. So our point would be over 2 up 7. So it would be 2 along the x-axis and 7 on the y-axis and down. Just remember x comma y, it's alphabetical order. Yeah. I just said the alphabet song in my head. Okay, what is the area in square units of the rectangle? So just like the volume, area is length times width. So you're going to multiply 2/5 times 3/4. Multiply fractions, but okay, 2/5 times 3/4. So when you're multiplying fractions, you just multiply straight across. So 2 times 3 is 6. And 5 times 4 is 20. And that can be reduced. 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 20 10 times. Another little trick that you could do is reduce it before you multiply. So anything on the top, only if you're multiplying, okay? Only multiplying. Anything on the top can be reduced with anything on the bottom only when you're multiplying. So 2 goes into 2 1 time, 2 goes into 4 2 times. And that gives us 1 times 3 is 3, 5 times 2 is 10. Select all the statements that correctly compare the two numbers. So this question, keyword all, you're going to select more than one answer. And greater than or less than. So let's compare these numbers. 1.30, 1.31. This one is the larger one, and the small pointy end is pointing towards it, so that is not true. This one is the greater number. Again, the small pointy end is pointing at it, so not true. Okay, 2, 5, if I were to put a 0 as a placeholder, 2, 5, 5, this one would be the larger number. Again, not true because the small pointy end is this is a smaller number, this is a larger number towards like the opening. So here's the larger number, 2.1 compared to 2.0. So this one is true. And 9.4 is greater than 9.3. So this one is also true. An art teacher gives a total of 35 pounds of clay to her students. She gives each of her 16 students the same amount. How many pounds of clay does each student get? Are you going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Well, we're dividing here. 35 total pounds divided by how many students there are. Ta-da! That's the answer. You could enter that and it would be correct. Alan ran 5.4 miles on Monday and 3.28 on Tuesday. How many total miles did he run? So we're adding 5.4 And when you're adding with decimals, make sure you line up your decimal point, 3.28. My 3 is wonky. Okay, and this 8, I'm going to put a 0 over it for a placeholder. We're adding, so 0 plus 8 is 8, 4 plus 2 is 6. Decimal point doesn't change, and 5 plus 3 is 8, so it's 8.68 miles altogether. And that is it, the end of session 2. Like I said, I will link to the first session in the description below, along with the tests on the FLDOE website if you would like to practice on your own. Please share with people you know that this might help, including teachers, teachers in training, parents. And let me know if you have any questions. Head on over to at Calm Math, where I share, you know, not only test prep videos, but fun math videos too. It helps reduce math anxiety. Take care.